Matthieu Rytz, is that the way to pronounce your last name?
Absolutely. Hmm.
Okay. Matthew, first off, you were in interviews for Deep Rising. You were talking about the cinema behind your documentary. Talk about the importance of making your documentary pure cinema and all of the elements involved with whether it's the VO, the sound design, the music. How important was it for you to bring cinema into your doc?
Oh, it's critical because I think an issue such as deep seabed mining, you need to bring emotion. It's extremely hard to build empathy for the deep ocean, and it's without using the techniques of cinema that brings the art of cinema can really bring people to a journey, and the sound, as I said, soundscape score, VO, and all the skill of editing and all what makes this film what it is. I think is also the aim is to bring people on a journey that they feel something, because we're talking here about a very large part of the planet that is mostly unknown by anyone, and it's visually not that compelling for some space, like when where the deep sea nodules are sitting at 4 kilometers down in the ocean on the ocean sea floor. It's absolutely not the same type of ecosystem where you find dolphin, humpback whales, and beautiful corals that in 5 minutes you show this with some piano and people will be like, I need to protect this, which is not really the case for the deep seabed. You need to find storytelling techniques, just for people to care. So that was a very challenging film for me because again, I will bring empathy and care to the deep ocean.
Some of these meetings or the conferences they would take place 2018, 2019, some events in 2021. During the process of this documentary, what was the biggest challenge in just pulling all of these elements together and making it a cohesive whole? What was that maybe that 4 to 5 year journey? What was the hardest part of it for you?
I mean, it was a long editing process for sure. Really getting intertwining those stories. Intertwining the two characters plus the deep ocean plus the voiceover of Jason Momoa, everything in a single film. And it's interesting because the film kind of sits in between two different category, I would say. On one hand is kind of more like geopolitical intrigue, follow the money, kind of like eco thriller type of film, and we intertwine that with natural history. When we in the deep ocean is and the footage starts is it's really like it feels more like a BBC type of a Blue Planet, and how to intertwine both was very challenging because it's easy. I mean, it was a big I really wanted to make it work, but that was also a gambling because it might just not work at all. It's like you lose audience from like the drama of, the intrigue and the drama of follow the money and the future of energy and what's happening with the CEO and what's happening with this other character, and then also the dropping altogether with a totally different style of film. But which is quite interesting at the same time because the film is now becoming recognized on both category. I recently won one of the most important award in national history, the Jackson Wild. Has the special jury prize, and this is the Oscar of national history. And I was very surprised that actually they even consider that film. But because now I have the film somehow has a value of both type of storytelling.
Jason Momoa in interviews, he was saying how when he was doing the VO, there were some moments when he got really emotional. So my question to you is a two-part question. The first one is, what was like having Jason Momoa as a collaborator? And the second part was, what was the big challenge for you as far as crafting the narration for this documentary? That must have taken so much work because if the narration doesn't work, the documentary can fall. So
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I mean, we put so much work to actually write the script because in the context of a documentary, we don't have the budget to have Jason twice in the studio. So you cannot do retakes. It has to be good, and it has to be good at the first place. But then, the process of working with him, I mean, it was quite fast. It takes few hours, like a day, basically, to record it. But what was so, for me, so beautiful because I realized how much he cares about the ocean, and it doesn't do that for just to show that he cares. He actually cares, and I think it's also part of who he is as a Polynesian. You know, like I mean, his father is Hawaiian, mother U.S. But I think he really talks to his Hawaiian Polynesian heart, and really understanding that deep sea bed mining is an issue that will impact the future generation of his people of the island. That's like, so I think when that kind of get clear, I think that's where he became emotional, and really, and and that was beautiful also, because you can then you can hear it. That's the beauty of it. You can hear in a voice. It's a voice that is very truthful. I think in a documentary, it's not just a geek you do and you cash in and you go. I think it's just something really profound that was happening, and I'm very grateful for that.
Matthew, we can tell from this documentary your passion for the deep sea, these nodules, and the climate and the environment. But can you talk about presenting also? You're also focusing in a little bit on the CEO of that company, the metals company, right? And how talk about gaining access to him and also presenting it in a way where we can make our decisions for ourselves, as opposed to you imposing your viewpoint as a documentarian, but just showing us and having us make our own decision. Talk about that, that decision too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mix of answer. I thought it was very important to bring the CEO or any important players for the mining industry to give them a voice, also for the viewer to understand what are stakes, because otherwise you're just you're just eating hard on an industry, but it doesn't really, and then the film preaches to the choir. Your film basically will be uploaded and get all the awards in the conservation world, but it's half of the story. But at the same time, I'm personally, against deep sea bed mining in a way that I don't think we should get after those nodules. But I couldn't also have a very strong voice as a director, starting, to have a way I put the storytelling together to demonize the character, because then what will happen very clearly is they will have dropped from the project, because and then I'm losing this entire, I would have lost this entire complexity. That's that was the most challenging project in my life on that perspective, because I kept the editorial control all the time, nothing about that, but it's how to balance this very thin line.
Yeah. What has it been like getting the reaction from your documentary from, I guess, both sides? You said the complexity of your documentary. I think probably one of the great parts of this documentary's existence is the fact that you're going to have so many different people with their personal viewpoints bring their thoughts and opinions to the table. Is that something that you look forward to continuing this kind of dialogue?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I think, the film itself is a journey. So what I found very interesting is how people react to the film, and how they actually change mind in the middle of the film. They might start with like, oh, he's a good guy, oh, he's a bad guy, oh no, I'm confused. And I think that's, I think that, I think this is really interesting, because it really creates a debate. I had some of the most amazing Q&As I ever had in the cinema, because it's just people are confused, and I think it's good to confuse people. It's better to confuse people, and then they start asking questions and digging by themselves, and hopefully get to the right conclusion, than just like give the audience the conclusion already, and they don't have to think.
Yeah, I think one of the many great points about your documentary, talking about people getting confused, is there's this one moment where I can't even name the machine. I'm sure it's worth, I don't know how much money, and it fails. And then you go back to documenting it a year later, and no matter what your opinion is regarding the deep sea and the mining and the deep, all that stuff, you're actually pulling for them that they actually accomplished this a year later. So you bring in a layer of complexity. You as a documentarian, You didn't have to put that into the documentary. You could have just made it, oh, this machine failed. This is proof that capital, all that stuff. Can you just talk about that sequence? I thought that was a genius stroke, that you show both sides of humanity there working towards a goal, no matter what your opinions are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the guy on the boat, we were super happy when and that's what I mean by confusing the audience in a way, because yeah, I agree with you. You can actually have empathy for those guys who just work so hard and then they fail and then the success, and that's storytelling in its art of like the art form of storytelling, when you actually, yeah, exactly as you said, like you just, oh wow, they did it, congrats guy. But the next scene is like, oh shit, that machine gonna destroy the ocean too. So it's like,
It's amazing. But Matthew, my final question to you, we opened the discussion regarding cinema. Right off the top of your head, can you name one of the most impactful movies in your life? And what is it about this specific movie that means a lot to you on a personal level?
ooh la la. One impactful movie in my life. Sorry, I haven't thought about this one.
No
Um,
worries.
yeah, I think it's a film that is a bit old, but the name was like the Darwin Nightmare, and that's was not, yeah, maybe like 15 years ago or something. But I was very, very moved by that film because the guy basically was able to just peel all the layer. It was about exploiting the fish in the Great Lakes in East Africa. But he was able just basically to start with a very simple story. Basically, they basically, exploited one specific type of fish that brought to extinction the whole lake. But then, it's just starting with a very simple environmental story, and then you peel, and you peel, and you peel the layers of the story to realize all the impact basically that this very simple thing had on so many layers, from environment, from human rights, from global trade, and then he went to like trading actually weapon in back to, it's like it becomes this. So I love those films where it's just like you're starting peeling realities basically, just like, yeah, go to a journey and you get becoming more and more and more complex.
Matthew, thank you so much for your time. I really, really loved your documentary.
Thank you so much.